Welcome, foolish mortals. Hope everybody's had a great week. Sorry about the sun glare, but the sun here is killer today. We had snow, a lot of snow yesterday, so it's just beaming. But so I might try and fix that in a second. I didn't know it was so bad. But hope everybody had a good week. We are here to talk about toys, pickups, and review the Adam Project with Brandon from Icebox Comics and Games.
Hey there.
If you haven't subbed, go down into the description, and his new site is there. You better have all already been part of the Ewok army. Because as we've seen in the Ukraine, the Ewoks can take out the Empire. Use that as a real life example when people say the Ewoks can't defeat the Empire. But of course, they didn't have Stinger missiles and stuff. But still. So, Brandon, how you doing?
I'm doing really well. Got a couple days off, so I've been getting some stuff done.
Excellent. Can't wait till you get up and running on your thing. I think I'm gonna transfer at least half of my comic buying over to you once I get done. Hey Mick, what's up? Geek Strong, how you doing? Once we get some general chat out of the way and our pickups and stuff like that, we might open it up to everybody if you want to come in and talk about the Adam Project with us.
Absolutely.
I kind of lost control last week for a little while on my ranting about the JJ verse. So I actually have like 2 weeks worth of pickups here to go over.
Nice.
Hey, Blue. Hey, Blue's mom. So, well, let's kick it off. Brandon, what have you picked up this week? I'm going to see if I can get rid of this.
Oh, boy. So, we've got a couple days off, so I decided to go to my nearest comic book store. I don't call it the local comic book store because it's a 4-hour round trip. But
local is a relative word when you live in the Great Plains.
Right. I picked up quite a few comics from them. They do a pretty good job of giving me deals and stuff like that. But there was really nothing at Target or Walmart. These are the only two figures I got, the Emperor and IG. I already had I'm trying to think which Ewok is in this wave. Tebow was in this wave. I already had him, but these are the only two there. So I picked them up. And then I think that's really it for figures when it comes to what I got, because I've been focusing on comics and everything. But I did get 2 wonderful packages, one from Chris, and that was the cards that you sent, and those are so cool. My mom is a big fan of Heroes, so we were looking at those cards together. And then in the box came a little Darth Maul. I didn't realize it was a mystery. I thought it was Maul, and then I ended up getting Maul. And then those little the Scooby-Doo Playmobil ones.
Oh,
yeah,
nice. I got those 2.
Yeah, I got 2 of the Knights, so I gave one to my niece, and my sister was looking at it because she's like, "Is that from Scooby-Doo?" And I was like, "Yep." So, the Witch Doctor, and then the Knight. And then the other package that I got was from Gilster, and Gilster hooked me up with a complete Wicket.
Oh, cool!
With the spear and everything, and I did not have a complete one before, so that is awesome. And then there were some other little stickers and stuff in there, and then a little art of episode 1. And I've been collecting some of the art books, so getting some of these. This one's cool, seeing what some of the first Darth Maul look like, and then the really scary.
There's a figure of that.
There is.
Yep, it's called Darth Maul in training gear.
Oh.
And those were of course the Sith witches that were going to be in it, and then it became Mother Tanzin in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, Talzin, yep, and then the Night Sisters. Yeah, that's
there's 3 weird figures. They're in the Power of the Force wave, the green packaging. One is Obi-Wan in training gear.
Yeah,
and Qui-Gon in training gear, and then that Darth Maul in the kind of weird tan outfit.
Huh.
It doesn't match his skin color at all. I don't know who sold him.
Right.
It's horrible.
Yeah. But then I got this the homework that you were talking about, the book.
Yeah.
I actually listened to it in the car. It was actually pretty fun. It goes through both Edward and Bruce growing up a little bit, and then it talks about Bruce building his Batmobile and racing it and all that kind of stuff in his first couple of detective cases as the Batman. So it actually was better than I expected it to be.
So there's another Batmobile other than the one that he builds in the movie?
It's slowly how he built it up.
Oh, okay.
So that was pretty cool. And then a series that I have been enjoying immensely. I'm behind on it just because I didn't start getting them, but Something is Killing the Children.
No,
it's very, very hot. They're going to be getting a series. This is issues, I think 1 through 16, and it's set in Wisconsin, and there's monsters that are eating children, and it's a monster hunter, and then it's pretty sick.
Is that a Netflix or an HBO?
I believe it's. I don't know what it's been optioned for. I want to say.
Hey, Smirking Bear, how you doing?
Hey, Smirking. I want to say they will be the. So The Haunting of Hill House, and Dr. Sleep people are looking at adapting it for Netflix.
Oh, cool.
So
those have to be done as series. You can't do them as movies because they get messed up because there's not enough time.
Right. So then I've been catching up with the Slaughter packs. So it's 1 through 6, and they do them in 6-issue increments. And these are like the Mac packs, and it's all got this the artist last name is Mac, and he does covers for all of them. So it's a super hot series. If you're lucky and find some of the first issues and get them graded, they can be worth $400 to thousands of dollars. And then another thing that I'm on a kick with is Punchline, and she was introduced a couple of years ago. It's the same guy who wrote Something is Killing the Children, Nice House on the Lake, and all that kind of stuff. She's basically a fill-in for Harley Quinn when Harley Quinn has had enough of the Joker's crap, and she's more sadistic and serial killer-esque. So I think she's gonna blow up here pretty soon. But that's my pickups lately, besides the hundreds of comics I've been getting. So yeah.
Cool. Well, like I said, I've got like 2 weeks worth of pickups here, and absolutely nothing you're going to see came from a store, because my stores don't have anything. So everything was ordered, or if I did get it at a store, it was an antique store. So I got.
Oh, Casca, nice.
Finally got her. She showed up on Amazon super cheap. So I was like, hey, I've never seen her in store. That wave, I've still never seen most of that, wave in store. I had to go to another state to find parts of it. For Funko, I got Trevor and the Ecto 1.
Nice.
It's got this little chair out and everything.
Oh, nice. The little gunner seat, yeah.
Yeah, little gunner seat. And then I picked up Cab Vance.
Nice.
I did not find a Chase version without his helmet, though, unfortunately. Apollo Creed.
Cool.
45th anniversary. They just did him and Rocky. I wish they would have done a Mickey and a Adrian. It would have been nice. And then I got this off Walmart's website. This is the first of the record pops I've gotten, because I've never been able to find the Queen one I wanted. and don't care enough about Kiss or NSYNC to bother with those.
Now, those are in a harder case, right?
They are. They're actually in a hard case, which is why they're $20 a piece.
Okay.
So I think they decided that since they were going to be making these, they'd make their own case for them, so that third-party people didn't get cash off of them.
Right.
I got some more Legos for Rum. So this is the Transfiguration class. So it has McGonagall and Hermione and Ron. I really wish they do other kids in these, because now I'm going to have 15 different Hermione figures. And then I also got Fluffies.
Oh, cool.
Which, of course, comes with a Ron and a Hermione and a Harry again. But no other kids saw it. So, and unfortunately, this connects to a whole bunch of other pieces that are now out of print. So I'll never be able to complete that Hogwarts castle, because the Hogwarts bit of it's like $200 now.
Jesus.
So, yeah, screw that. I got the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Nice.
So that completed my Princess Bride collection. Just before the next series comes out. And then I got a Feshik. Weird face.
Yeah.
Come with a peanut. And a rock.
And a rock. I like that.
I got a rock. That over there. Then I got some new Playmobil. This is the Ghost Chamber for the Firehouse. And then I got each of the guys in these giant Playmobiles.
Oh, cool.
They're numbered to 12,500. And unfortunately, this is Ray, and unfortunately his helmet fell off. It's down in there.
Oh.
But I can't open it because that's just not what I do. And then Spengler. And everybody comes with, Spengler comes with a ghost, the PKE meter, and then Ray comes with his eyeglasses. And what is this, Vinkman? Vinkman comes with another PKE meter, and they all have their backpacks, of course. And I think it's Ray who comes with the ghost trap. Yeah, Ray comes with a ghost trap. You can see it down in there.
Oh, cool.
These are just like the Slimer things in there are just like vinyl things that you can put up against a wall or a mirror or something, so they can have somebody to fight. And then I showed off once some stuff I picked up at an antique store for Star Wars from a guy who was running a spring sale in March. And I actually got a whole bunch of new stuff from him. I got a call from them the other day, and they're like, hey, come on over. So first I got some 3.75 Black Series. This is Luke, Dagobah Luke. And then Hoth Luke.
Nice.
So I like these. They're okay. I don't like the packaging. But as soon as they switched them to the vintage collection, then I started buying them all. I do have about 20 or so of each of these. Not the Lukes, but, And then I got a whole bunch of bikers. There's a speeder bike with Luke. And then a speeder bike with a Scout Trooper. And then Leia. And then Shadows of the Empire Swoop. I don't pay $5 a piece for them, so I was happy.
Dang.
Yeah. And
Battle
Droid. Love those little things. They could have easily repackaged these with a, Obi-Wan or somebody on it. But that was for the episode 1 sneak preview stuff. And then I got some 3-packs, and I still only paid $5 a piece for these.
Oh.
Down, so I
saved quite a bit of money there, yeah.
Yeah, but I wasn't going to pass him up for the
Oh,
real ending of Return of the Jedi. And then Purchase of the Droids. I always thought this needed like an R5D4 or somebody else right here.
yeah.
Like a hole there, or Jawa. And then Cantina Aliens.
Cool.
And they are just Power of the Force figures in a 3-pack. But I still like them. And then the last thing is a Dewback
Oh,
with Trooper from the special editions. So I was really happy. He says he might bring some more stuff in later. He's cleaning out his garage and a couple storage spaces, he says. And he's got a whole bunch of Marvel stuff and things like that that are actually higher priced. Pretty decent. He says he doesn't care about Star Wars anymore. The sequel trilogy broke him.
oh.
And so he's basically getting rid of almost everything except his original trilogy stuff. So,
Yep.
thank you, Smirky. He is the phony king of England.
I love that movie.
It's my favorite Disney animated film, probably because it's the first one I ever remember seeing in theater. Nice. Yes, there's a new one coming out on April 1st. It's minifig scaled. I guess it's $180 or something like that. But it has parts so you can build all 3 DeLoreans.
Oh,
So that's kind of nice. Oh yeah. Yeah, and this guy, it sounds like he's going to be getting rid of a lot. So I might end up with a lot more stuff. I'll have to see. Chubby, how you doing, man? Good. I'm glad that you popped in because I cannot find your page, dude. And I wanted to push that. Chubby's done a stop motion Black Widow versus Aliens and Predators figure thing, and I wanted to push that, and I couldn't find your page. I don't know why. I know I subscribed, so I don't know. I'll go and I'll push that out today. Yeah, it's like $200, and it's got working lights and stuff like that, so it's pretty cool. It comes with, of course, just Doc and Marty and Einstein, I think. So, but it's a neat little thing. It's definitely possible. It'll be another one of those I wish I would have bought, but I didn't because it was $200.
yeah.
Much like the Ecto One, I would really love to have that Ecto One, but $200.
Yeah.
We'll see. But so, well, that's it. That's it for my pickups. It was kind of a busy 2 weeks, but not really because I didn't. I once again went out. There is no toy hunt this week, guys, because I went out and almost literally everything was exactly the same as it was last week. Nothing had moved from the pegs. It's weird. Yeah. It's got a little bit of a dent along the side. Oh well, that's all right. That happens in shipping. So there's not going to be a toy hunt this week. I worked 60 hours this week. I had a 6-day work week this week with a couple 12s, and I got a couple 12s next week too. So, yeah, go ahead and send the link, and then I can copy it and resend it because I don't think you're a moderator. If you are, you can put it in, and it'll go. Let me see. Hang on a second, Chubb. There. Okay, Chubb, you are now a moderator. So go ahead and you can put that in. Everybody go check it out. It's about a minute or so long. It's actually really well done. You did a great job. Hey, Rick, what's up? That's where I was about 3 hours ago. My body no longer allows me to sleep in. It's pissing me off to no end. So I get up at almost exactly 5 a.m. every morning, whether or not I have to go to work or not. I try to go back to sleep, but then my mind is kicked in, and that was that. So I might take a nap later. That could be good. So hope everybody had a not too eventful St. Patrick's Day last night. I stayed in, watched the Adam Project, and then had corned beef and Guinness and potatoes and corn and just all the cultural appropriation I could. Being British, it's my job to culturally appropriate the Irish. So, but oh, gross. Well, don't give it to your mom. Hopefully, your mom's taking care of you. So, well, let's go over some stuff on the Adam Project.
Yeah.
So, overall thoughts? What'd you think?
I thought it was very enjoyable. I'm probably going to end up watching it at some point with my mom when she's got a couple days off here. I thought it was a very fun movie. I didn't think it was spectacular, but it was definitely an enjoyable, fun Ryan Reynolds movie. I thought the kid and Ryan Reynolds were great, and it surprised me how good the cast was. And
well, especially on such a cheap movie. I did not know it was just a Netflix movie. I thought it was a real movie that Netflix just bought, but it's actually a Netflix movie. And if you watch the credits, there are only 11 cast members listed.
Yeah.
So it was a super cheap movie to make. Plus, it was in Canada, so you already have everything up there, and Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. What was the budget on the film? Because
I will guess it did have some decent CGI, so I'll go 24 million.
Ooh, 116.
No way for that. Well, I guess the end stuff. The end takes place in a huge, what looks like a reactor area, so maybe that was part of it. And actually, the de-aging on her at the end didn't look too bad either. So maybe a lot of that was effects work.
I would guess so. It definitely had Guardians of the Galaxy feel. With with the music and just kind of the way that they did the it wasn't as bright in places, but hey Gilster, thank you again. But no, I thought it was fun, and I was watching it, and I've seen people complaining about the time travel stuff and how it needs to be taken seriously, and it's like whenever I watch movies with time travel, I immediately shut off any sort of trying to explain it. I just enjoy to see if it's a fun movie. So I did enjoy it.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people comparing it to Back to the Future and stuff. I don't think it's really Back to the Future. It's just a time travel movie. And Ryan was Ryan, and the kid did a great impersonation of him. Really, he did.
It was great.
I thought the cast was really good. Jennifer Garner did a great job. Sean Levy, of course, he directed it, and he's one of the producers on Stranger Things.
Oh, okay.
So if he was able to grab that kind of Spielbergian shooting method, because there were definitely some shots that you could see that were taken from like E.T. and a couple other things like that were definitely was there. I have not watched Raised by Wolves yet.
I haven't either.
Is that on Netflix, Chubby?
That might be HBO or Amazon. I
am watching a new show on Netflix called Young Wallander, which I really, really enjoy. It's based off a Swedish cop series and books, but it's really well done. But it's with time travel. If it's not a sequel of any kind, where it has to make sense, then I don't care. Like Terminator has ruined time travel in its own films because there's just overlapping things, and then not Dark Fate, but the one that was before that, they had to have come on and explain the multiverse of of Terminators and stuff.
Was that Genesis?
Yes, Genesis.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen.
It wasn't too bad. It was just that they got Emilia Clarke to play Sarah Connor, and she's way too small, way too young, and I didn't believe her for 1 second. And then they had Schwarzenegger come in toward the middle of the movie, and they used Arnold Schwarzenegger to explain time travel in the multiverse inside the Terminator universe. What you're seeing is many multiple purples, and there are things Terminators here and there, and it's like, well, you should no. Are in any of these universes can you speak proper English? But yeah, you just have to turn it off. And that's what made it funny in the MCU when they were trying to use either Terminator logic or Back to the Future logic. Right. Like, no, that's just not how it works.
How it works at all. Yeah.
Which has been funny because in this movie, what's his name actually creates time travel and kind of uses Back to the Future logic to explain you can't touch anything, you can't look at anything, But yeah,
I thought Mark Ruffalo was good in it too. I honestly, when you
that kind of lost character, that doesn't quite know what's going on in the world.
When you said that we were going to be talking about this, I really hadn't heard much about this movie at all. So I just put it on and I was like, oh, this is enjoyable.
It's a Donner movie. Spielberg was on set not even a quarter of the time. It's definitely a Donner movie, but Spielberg had he helped do storyboards for it. So Spielberg definitely had some influence in how shots were set up. But yeah, see, Sarah Connor Chronicles was actually really good. It still messed with the continuity of everything horribly, but it was a much more believable. Yeah. I'm sorry, Blue. She was just horrible in that movie. just bad. Well, it's a Netflix movie, so nobody watched it because it was a time travel movie. They watched it because it was Ryan Reynolds, and I love when the kids giving him all kinds of shit. Because Ryan Reynolds, of course, takes off his shirt, sort of, and the kid's like this. He's 12, but he's like, I don't know, 6 inches shorter than he probably should be for a 12-year-old. And he has slight asthma, and he's all scrawny, and he gets beat up all the time. And he sees Ryan Reynolds with all these muscles, and then he gives him shit about skipping leg day.
Yeah. I love when did we trade muscles for brains?
Yeah.
Like, dang.
I got a bad end of that deal. Well, what's great is the kid's like looking at it, and he looks at it from a 12-year-old's perspective of, man, I'm going to get laid constantly. And he says, we got all kinds of girls in college, didn't we? It's like, what? We did okay. I don't know. I think Terminators just need to stop for quite a while. Like, I think Terminator needs to take a 15-year break before they do it. And I would not even be against them completely rebooting it. I'm just saying this has nothing to do with the other movies. This is just, but they've done so many now. It's hard to figure out where you could go with that story.
I actually really like Terminator Salvation. The one with, oh God, what's his name?
Christian Bale.
Yeah, and Worthington, the guy. Sam Worthington, the guy who was in Avatar?
He just disappeared, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was in everything for a while, Clash of the Titans and Terminator and other stuff, and he just kind of was like, and we're done with you.
Yeah. I think the last thing that I saw him in was Hacksaw Ridge with Andrew Garfield.
Yeah. Sort of. Yeah, because they're married, and they have a kid and a cute-ass puppy. But yeah, and I actually think that way about Predator too, but that's not stopping them from making a new Predator movie.
Yeah.
which people are going to complain about because it's set in the 1800s with a Native American woman. And how in the hell is she supposed to stop a predator? Unless the predator dumbs himself down to her level. You know, I mean, as far as I know, the last time I knew, she's literally fighting him with spears and bows and arrows and like an old style rifle. I mean, you would think he'd walk right up to her and go, "Ooh, pop, sweet, I'm done."
Well, I mean, but think about the first one. He really dumbed himself down to fight Arnold because it was more about the physical challenge.
Well, Arnold blew his gun up.
Oh, true.
And then he didn't have
Right.
his gun anymore. Everybody else he blew to pieces with his gun, or just ripped their spinal cords out. Finish him.
Yeah.
Cameron was on board for Dark Fate and said that he felt that this was the direct sequel to Terminator 2 and that there were no other Terminator movies in between. And that didn't go so well. But see you, Gilster. Which Suicide Squad, 1 or 2? I still have to watch part 2.
It's got to be the most recent one because the first one was.
Yeah, the last one was bad.
One of the first video games I had for my Xbox 360 was the Terminator Salvation video game that tied in with it, and it was actually pretty cool. I remember really liking that game. It's not a great game, but it's cool.
Yeah, the Adam Project, it was it did give you kind of, it was very Deadpool and Guardians of the Galaxy. It was he might as well have been wearing the Deadpool costume the whole time. He was just Ryan Reynolds the whole time, just as a smart ass. And the kid was great, kind of doing not as bad, but he was still a smart ass too. He gets his butt kicked all the time. And so, it's a very contained movie. I would have thought it wouldn't have cost more than 25 or 30 million to make. Because if you can make the Joker for 34 million, there was no reason this movie needed to cost that much, except for the effects work. There was quite a lot of flying and stunt stuff, things like that, which now shows me that Ryan Reynolds can now be in Star Wars, and he has all the skills to use a double-bladed lightsaber. So, Worthington's been working on the Avatar sequels. Well, that's going to end. Shooting 4 movies simultaneously, supposedly. What happens if Avatar 2 comes out and it sucks, and you still have Avatars 3, 4, and 5 in the can or being made? They just go to Disney Plus, and that's the end of them. I mean, honestly, I don't know anybody who actually needed an Avatar 2, let alone 4 more of them.
I'm excited. I really, really liked the first one.
Well, I don't know. The first one, it was okay, but it wasn't anything new. I mean, right. I can't see in 3D, so I couldn't get into it like everybody else did. I watched it for the story, and the effects were pretty and everything, but like everybody said, it was just Pocahontas. It was just Dances with Wolves. It was the same movie I've seen several times, and I'm hoping that it'll go a little better. But yeah, I would like Cameron to do that, but I think he has 5 or 6 more Titanic documentaries to make before he does that, because he's fascinated with the Titanic and Avatar at the moment, and will not walk away. And of course, he's got to. Honestly, that's not really that far of a joke. He needs to get back to the Titanic fast. They say it's deteriorating even faster than they thought it was, and that it actually could completely collapse at any time, and then it would just be just a debris field, and that the ship won't even be there anymore. So hopefully, yeah, well, it's because Lord of the Rings, Lord of the Rings had a lot of practical stuff in it. So it didn't have as much CG as you probably think it did. Just like episode 1. Episode 1 had a lot of practical stuff, and it had a far less CG than you think it did.
Yep.
If you watch all the making of stuff, the most Espa racing thing, the at the beginning of the movie with the ship, all that stuff's practical effects. And it just looked really good because it's ILM who touched it up. And, I think that with Lord of the Rings, since the prequels were shot in Australia and the guys from Weta were there and they were on site and during episode 1 and parts of episode 2 getting information how to do it. And George was very open about how he was doing shots and how he wanted what he saw, which is now what we see in The Mandalorian with the dome. He first saw that years ago. And there's a famous thing where they said, well, would you ever make sequels to Star Wars movies because your actors are so much older now? And he said, well, I think we're going to get technology to a point where we won't need them anymore, that we will simply be able to create them, and I might need their voices, but I don't necessarily need them to be in the movies anymore. And of course, that's where we are now with deep fakes. You can just put anybody on, and as long as they are relatively the same size, and builds. But yeah, live stuff is always going to be superior over CG. Go back and watch, if you really want to watch some bad CG, go back and watch the original Harry Potter. And there's so much that you will see now that you didn't see then, and especially during like the troll fight, where everything had to be at night with lightning flashes and stuff like that, so you wouldn't notice the bad CGI. That's whenever you can see that your shows are going to take place, and it was what they did in Jurassic Park. They openly said that they were able to use the CGI because they were able to cover it with darkness and stuff, so you couldn't see the lines and stuff. And they said that really helped. So whenever you see a lot of CGI that's going to happen in darkness, like if you watch a Mortal Kombat fight that's suddenly in darkness, that's because you're trying to cover up stuff. Yeah, and when you shoot the models, and then when you shoot them digitally, which is what Lucas and Weta Films did, then you can pull them up, you can shrink them, you can manipulate them in the camera and in others, and then it gives you so much ability. Like Frank was saying, he doesn't know why CG can't be better. Well, it's incredibly better if you look at like the Book of Boba Fett and you look at Mandalorian. And I think you're going to see more and more shows that are using the what's it called?
The volume.
Huh?
The volume.
The volume. And using the volume because you can do everything in it. And you don't have to worry about backgrounds, and you don't have to worry about the weather. There's probably no shot in the Book of Boba Fett when he's in the desert that actually took place in the desert. That is all the volume and a whole bunch of sand on the ground. And you're going to see that in Obi-Wan too, because while they did build sets, and they're using the same sets from the Book of Boba Fett for Obi-Wan, the volume was used quite a bit. But awesome. Yeah, Weta did some great stuff as far as ILM created the motion capture stuff and the locking so they could show ships turning. The Weta's work in the scanning of models and scanning of faces and stuff like that. And actually, they got some of that from Playmates. Playmates Toys created a scanning, and Jack Pacific created a scanning thing for the face so they could make figures more and more realistic. It was called Real Scan Technology. And so when you had a wrestler who you want to make a figure of, you sat him in a chair, you locked their head in place, and then the camera just moved 360 degrees around them, got their whole face, and that's why suddenly wrestling figures started looking so much better. And then Hasbro got that technology as well. Playmates used it for a lot of the later Trek stuff, and has apparently used it for newer stuff for Discovery and for the Picard stuff they're going to be doing this year. So, yep, and it's all about placement and how you shoot things, and it's those guys know their jobs. They really do. But plus, the Adam Project shows you how pretty Canada is. There's some shots by a lake, and you're just like, man, I want to go there and just be there for like a week. And I hate camping, but I would stay there because there's I need a refrigerator and I need a toilet. Those are two things I need if I'm going somewhere. And I could see the refrigerator, but I did my time in outhouses and stuff on my grandfather's farm and stuff. I'm not no more. Especially this February or March, and you have to go out to the outhouse in the middle of the night. No, cold butt up. But let me drop a link in here if anybody else wants to come on and BS for a little while.
So I originally, when I looked this up, I didn't realize that production on this film started in 2012.
Oh yeah, it's been going for a long time. Have you ever seen the clip of the kid doing Deadpool's speech?
Yeah.
This was all pre-COVID. This film's been going for a long time.
I just could not see Tom Cruise doing this.
No. And so I think the Edge of Tomorrow was basically like, I don't want to do another. But I don't think Cruise would have worked in this movie. This was a silly, fun, family-ish movie, and that's just not Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise would have made it all like, we have to get back to 2018 and save my wife.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't that would be I love the superhero landing.
That. But no, Tom Cruise is going to be in this, and he was also supposed to be in Iron Man, which he may or may not still be, depending on what we find out next month. So,
yeah, that killed me seeing the kid do the narration from Deadpool.
Yeah, I'd like to have seen Hugh Jackman's reaction, but. Yeah, that kid was actually pretty good. I think he's going to do pretty well. It'll be interesting to see if they do have him in Deadpool, if they have him as a young Wade. That would be very funny. Yeah. He can just spend his whole career being young Ryan Reynolds in everything.
A Green Lantern movie.
Young Green Lantern.
Sorry.
That'd be awesome. But I'm trying to think of anything else that's been really going on recently. Not a whole lot. It's been kind of quiet. We're all waiting. What is it? Is it next week that Moon Knight comes out?
Yeah. I want to say that's...
No, I think it's the 29th.
No, yeah. So 2 weeks still.
Looking forward to that. They dropped a new 1 minute clip last night. That really looked good.
I know. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's probably one of the. I have no interest in the Miss Marvel thing at all. I mean, the trailer looked okay, but I have no buy-in to the character, and so I don't particularly care. It's probably something I'll skip unless I get bored, and then I might watch it once it's done. Unless
I'll watch it
by episode 2 or 3, and they're like, "Oh my god, this is great," then I'll be like, "Okay, I'll go back and watch it."
Tropic Thunder.
Oh yeah. He was Tom. You could not have told me that was Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
because he just doesn't do comedies and stuff. He's always Mr. Action Guy or something, and back in the day, and in Risky Business and stuff like that, he was somewhat comedic, and I'm sure he can do it. He's a decent actor, but he stole that movie. I really like Tropic Thunder, but anytime he was on, I was like, wow, that's Tom Cruise. Holy crap. But yay, Rick has made it out of the bed. Hashtag underpants squad. Oh,
It was terrible.
that was horrible.
It was.
And
I shut it off.
Yeah. Because they were supposed to do that whole dark universe thing.
Yep.
And it started with Dracula, and then it was the Mummy, and they had supposedly moved quite far along on Frankenstein.
Well, didn't that one, the guy who played Two-Face, wasn't his technically in that universe, the Frankenstein movie?
I think maybe, okay. But there was a completely different one with or maybe it was the Wolfman. They moved further on and didn't get anywhere. I don't know, but those just didn't go as planned. And it's odd that Abbott and Costello were able to do it 70 years ago, but writers today can't figure out how to merge these universes together. Yeah. Oh, cool. He might be. Yeah. Hey, Rosoff, what up? Yeah, so I don't know. Everybody's still, it's really sad to see the Batman numbers because it just passed 500 million.
Yeah.
And I'm like, in the before time, it would be at 800 million by now. And it's kind of, I know Warner Brothers isn't looking at it like that. And, they could break their model and put it out on, say, for $10 on HBO Max and make the same amount of money.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to. I guess it comes out in April, middle of April or end of April or something like that.
It was like a 45-day turnaround, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I think that's really hurting the comeback of theaters because I've heard several people, Salacious and Bob, have both said that they're going to wait until April. Might as well. They don't have to go and deal with the crowds, but there aren't any crowds.
Yeah.
There were like 10 people in the theater when I saw it opening day. And it's, it sucks.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up? How you doing, man? Been watching a couple of your newer videos. Yeah, and I don't know. I think Batman was Spider-Man was the big one.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised that more people didn't go to Batman like they did Spider-Man. I know it doesn't have, speaking of Batman, Mr. Joker. And I know Batman doesn't have the happy ending and the nostalgia version of Toby and Andrew and stuff to pull people in like Marvel does. But I actually really thought the Batman would do bigger numbers.
Yeah.
And I think go ahead.
I think the runtime and the overall atmosphere had a lot to do with it because I've seen people saying like I didn't feel comfortable bringing my kid to this Batman movie, whereas Spider-Man they did.
It's definitely not a kid-friendly movie, but it's not rated R either.
Right.
And so I was surprised because of the amount of violence in it that it wasn't rated R. But when it ended and that PG-13 scrolled up, I was like, really? I just assumed it was rated R. But I think when it'll be interesting to see what happens when Doctor Strange comes out. And if suddenly there's this big, huge push of people getting into the theater again, in that case, then I think Warner Brothers does need to look at the sequel and see what they need to do.
Yeah.
To not necessarily lighten it up, but broaden the tent of the people who go to it.
Make not it more general audience. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want them to go Snyderverse stuff where it's, like Justice League and stuff, but maybe there does need to be a little better. I'm fine with the Batman the way it is.
Oh, I loved it.
I loved it. I really liked the Joker, and it made a ton of money.
Yeah.
but it also didn't cost anything.
Yeah.
And the problem with Batman is, of course, it got caught in COVID, and so it ran forever. And it was supposed to have been out last summer, and then it moved itself. Then there were reshoots, and so I mean, I'm pretty sure the cost of the Batman is probably somewhere around 160 or so, I would assume, and that's without the promo budget.
Yeah.
So you haven't seen the trailer? Oh, Joey, it's such a good movie. It really is. I've moved my. I originally gave it a 9. I've moved it to 8.5 because I do think it's a great movie. But I think the more I watch it, the more I will be like, well, yeah, this is great, but it's not as good as I thought it was. Which I don't think it'll ever get down below an 8 for me. But this is definitely my third favorite Batman film. It's great. I can't wait for a sequel. You know, God knows how long that's going to take.
185 to 200 million.
Yep. That does not surprise me at all. Because I know it had like $150 million budget before everything with COVID happened. Then they said they were adding another 10 or 15 for some reshoots. And then there's, God knows, there's probably at least a $40 million promo package on it.
Marketing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, which they've made up with some stuff like, you know, the Little Caesars calzone pizza.
I was so bad. I wish I had one near me. I want to try it.
I have thought about it. There's actually not one very close to me either. I've got to go. Oh, it's probably close being 5 miles, 5 or 6 miles, but it's still far enough away, and it's not near anything I go to.
Yeah,
so I'm like,
2 hours.
No, because we'll see. Because I do have like Batman cereal back here and stuff like that from back in the day, but not like I'm going to save the box from my calzone pizza
in case it
get a thing for it. 505. That's that's not bad. It's and it really only has been out 3 weeks. So that's actually not really bad for 3 weeks. But I think they knew with Doctor Strange coming out and with actually Morbius is next, isn't it? Morbius is next because that comes out on the 1st. And then April 15th is the new Potter movie. And then Doctor Strange. I'd forgotten about. I keep forgetting about Morbius, and they are showing more commercials and stuff for it on YouTube.
I'm seeing a ton of stuff on TV and YouTube.
Yeah, but I literally keep forgetting the movie exists. Same with that Potter movie. Ooh. I had a shredded wheat this morning, geek. Well, they're not doing a sequel. They are doing part 2 to Dune, because like the credits at the beginning say, this is Dune part 1.
Yeah.
So they are doing the second half of the book, and it would be interesting to see if they start doing like Children of Mar or Children of Dune and stuff like that as series.
I enjoyed that movie as well.
I haven't gotten to it yet.
Oh.
I eventually will. I'm still burnt out on Dune from the 80s. I'm still recovering. There's only so much Sting and Patrick Stewart you can take. Yeah, and there's just dozens and dozens of Dune books. They could literally keep this going forever. Kind of like Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones has 4 or 5 prequel shows in pre-production. And you could do that with Dune for a while.
Hey, John.
Hey, John. I don't think so. I think Brandon's right. I think the runtime scares people. When you tell somebody there's a 3-hour movie, they balk. But like Endgame and stuff was almost 3 hours. Spider-Man was 2.5 hours. There's something about that 3-hour mark that people get, and it's not just 3 hours, it's 3.5, because you have 15, 20 minutes of trailers in front of it as
Yeah.
well. Then you have to get there early, you know. And I don't think they're burnt out. I think they're confused by Warner Brothers. It's not Marvel. They're not connected. And then once Flashpoint comes out later this year, people are really not going to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And then there's a Batgirl movie that's going to take place in the Snyderverse. And I think people are just confused by Warner Brothers and in DCU.
So yeah, I think it's a mix of that. Because honestly, like my mom wants to see it because I was telling her about it, but it's a 3-hour movie, and it really sucks because my movie theater won't do any matinees of it. Not sure why, but my movie theater is now closed Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so it's only open Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, which really sucks. And I guarantee you it's because staff shortage, but the Canadian border is closed, so over half of the customers are not able to come over either. But if my movie theater had matinees, I probably would have seen the movie 4 times by now.
Yeah. Well, and really, honestly, all they have to say is we're showing the movie, no concessions. It doesn't really take anything to run a movie anymore, depending on how old your theater is. But really, you just set the time, and the machine does the rest. And I think Mark's right too. People got used to seeing HBO Max and having Warner Brothers movies shown at them at home until like the week before it came out. Bob was assured that it was going to be on HBO Max, and they're like, "No, it's not. It's only in
theaters." Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for some reason, Batman, Michael Keaton's in Batgirl. I don't know how that's going to work because we don't know how what happens with Keaton, because obviously that's not his Commissioner Gordon. His Commissioner Gordon's dead. That actor died quite a while ago. So, what's his name what's that actor's name? Who's playing him now in the Snyderverse? For J. Jonah Jameson.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, such a good actor. I love him.
I know, and I always forget his name.
Anyway, he's Commissioner Gordon and Batgirl's dad in this movie. So who is Michael Keaton, or is this a variant? I don't want to get into variants. We're gonna have that hard enough time with that in Doctor Strange and Loki season 2. I really don't want to get into variants in DC.
Oh, Flashpoint.
Yeah, with Flashpoint, God knows what's going to happen. Maybe he leaves his Gotham for Snyderverse's Gotham. This is how they replace Batfleck. They replace him with Michael Keaton, which, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I still have never finished the Lord of the Rings movies.
Oh.
I found them tediously boring.
Oh.
But on the other hand, I have watched all 10 hours of the making ofs on the extended versions. So I don't know why the movie doesn't grip me, but all the behind the scenes stuff does. I will literally get those out and put them in and skip right to the appendices and rewatch parts of the appendices instead of watching the movies. So I've seen The Fellowship of the Ring, and I've seen The Hobbit, and I've seen part of The Two Towers, and that's it.
Oh,
yeah. I was really mad that he cut. The stupidity of it is I was mad at him for how he treated Christopher Lee. I did not like how he cut him out of the third movie without even telling him, and he didn't even know until he showed up to the premiere. I did not like that. Also, kind of because of the length, at the time, I just didn't have the time to go to the theater and see it at that length.
Yeah.
And now I have a hard time, like, really, honestly, The Adam Project is the first movie I've sat and watched in my house in months.
Oh man.
I saw the Batman, and that's the last movie I've seen in the theater since Endgame, maybe. No, it would have been no, because Rise of Skywalker would have been after that. So yeah, Rise of Skywalker would have been probably the last movie I saw in the theater before the Batman.
Oh wow.
And I am really far behind, and I find it very easy to not watch something at home. And if I don't see something within the first week of it being out in the theaters, I skip it pretty much altogether. None of your propaganda here. Hey, Jonathan, what's up? There were parts that whole movie was weird anyway. And the extended parts of it I liked because it added plot. It added stuff for Cyborg to do. It added stuff for the Flash. It added plot that I was missing during the first Justice League.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't see Spider-Man either, John Joker. In fact, I haven't seen the last Spider-Man, let alone No Way Home. So I've only ever seen the first Spider-Man movie, and I didn't even see that at the theater. I saw it when it hit DVD. Yes, he was.
J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons, thank you.
Yep.
But yeah, he's in a lot of stuff randomly. Of course, he's in Raiders of the Lost Ark as well. He's one of the two guys who come get Indy at the beginning of the movie. Yep. So he had a pretty decent career for just kind of being a random fat character.
Yeah.
But Yep.
God, they are some of my favorite movies. I can watch I like sitting through the extended. I don't even know how many times I've watched the extended editions. Yeah. I own so many editions of there's so many versions of the extended edition, and you can watch them on HBO Max right now too, the extended editions. And man, yeah.
Well, they had Vudu was running all 6 extended editions for $49.
Oh,
I almost got them, but it fell on a week I didn't get paid.
Yeah.
Like, fuck it. And now I'm looking at picking up Discovery seasons 1, 2, and 3 because it's $24. I won't ever watch it, but it'll be part of my Star Trek collection.
Yeah. I have not seen any of the extended Hobbits. I just didn't really enjoy the Hobbit movies. Like, I like Martin Freeman.
Supposed to be a 12-hour movie. It was supposed to be, a quick little 2.5 hour flick, and then New Line got involved, and
yeah, I do enjoy some of the exploration into what they talk, because you look at some of the little side missions that they go on and stuff like that, and I like that, but at the same time, not all of it was necessary, and I didn't like. It didn't feel like Lord of the Rings to me because they went way more CGI than they did with the Lord of the Rings, and it just it just gives me an icky feeling when I watch it.
Nope, so, nobody said anything about Peacemaker. I'll get to that someday too, but probably not until the Penguin series is finished and I have to buy HBO Max. Then I'll go back and watch the first 2 or 3 or 4 seasons of Peacemaker, however many are out by then. I watched part 2. He is a dick, but apparently he's very funny in a kind of a Deadpool-y sort of way. Well, and once I started it, I'm sure I'd watch it through. I just don't ever click on it. I mean, I own literally thousands of movies. I don't watch any of them. You know what I rewatch? I will rewatch the first 5 Star Wars movies. I don't ever watch episode 2 because it bores me to death and I hate it. I watch the Blues Brothers. I watch Clue. I watched Blazing Saddles. Um, there's a couple other comedies, one called Brain Donors and The Last Starfighter. And I actually did watch The Hobbit recently, but it was the animated one
Yeah.
from back in the day, because people have been putting the. You ever heard the Bilbo Baggins song that Leonard Nimoy does?
Yeah.
People have been popping that up, and so then it was stuck in my head. So then I had to go watch that version, the Rankin Bass version of the. But yeah,
I
so
have
old movies and TV shows more than I ever watch anything else. I mean, honestly, I haven't seen. I think I'm probably at least 4 Disney or Pixar movies behind. I haven't seen what was it, Encanto?
Encanto. It's really good.
The Dragon.
Raya the Last Dragon.
Seen this new one about girls and their periods.
Turning Red. I haven't seen that yet.
And I'm
Luca.
sure there was another one before that.
Luca.
I haven't seen Luca. I
Soul?
think the last one I saw was Coco.
Okay.
But
I just seen Soul. We talked about that one before. I haven't seen Soul yet either.
Coco was good, and I'm pretty sure I'd like Encanto, but I just haven't gotten to it.
I've watched it too many times now because of my niece.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I have very, very vivid memories of eating, like, the chicken nuggets and mac and cheese that you microwave.
Mm-hmm.
Those while watching those animated Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit.
I have seen them, and I've written to Playmobil about them. They are not going to be sold in America. So they will not be in normal stores. They'll have to be in hobby stores. So I'm going to have to rely on probably Mark and my buddy Brian over there to maybe pick some up for me, which will mean getting good amounts of money together for shipping and everything. So I was hoping that they'd let me buy them from Europe and they'd ship them to me, but it didn't sound like that was an option. I know Mark's got kind of an in there at the moment, but they just say they're not going to ship them to the United States because they don't feel there's any market for them. Which, fair enough. Asterix is a very European thing, and I would assume that maybe Canada will get them. But I heard the movie was pretty cute. It's just not a movie I care about watching. When I saw the trailer, I was like, yeah, it looks all right. But that's kind of how I felt about all Disney and Pixar movies recently. I think they're churning them out too fast, and there's not enough quality control.
Encanto is one of my favorites now. I love it.
Well, it's kind of caught in a controversy of its own all of a sudden, because apparently it's nominated for Best Song for an Oscar, but they're going to perform a song that actually isn't nominated at the Oscars. What's the deal with Bruno or something like that?
Yeah, we don't talk about Bruno.
We don't talk about Bruno. There's going to be a live action version of that done at the Oscars. And of course, the Oscars are already in trouble because they've cut 8 things
categories.
out.
Yeah.
So they've cut 8 categories, but now they can throw this extra song in with a huge production number for no reason. And it's like, well, it's the most popular song and everybody loves it. Well, yeah, but it wasn't nominated because they didn't put it in for a nomination. And so that he deliberately did not put that song in for to be nominated for an Oscar. It shouldn't be performed at the Oscars. That's like just saying, well, we randomly liked this song that was in, Spider-Man Far From Home, so we're going to do a big thing about it. So now people are like, well, if you have time to do that, you have time to show these other 8 categories and not just pre-record them, cut them up, and then show them. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of that. Because then Encanto will have 2 songs performed and the others will only have their 1. Which it doesn't matter because the votes were already be in by then. So it doesn't really matter. I did buy the Playmobil Enterprise. I got it for $100 off, plus free shipping. So, yes, Jonathan, that 100%. There should be an Asterix and Obelix in a couple different sets. I don't mind if they're in one of the more expensive sets, but obviously, if they just made them in an individual 2-pack, everybody will buy that. So I get why they did it, and it wouldn't have stopped me from buying the other sets anyway, but I do think that's kind of bullshit. Yeah, I assume Canada will get them, but they said they were not going to be sold in the United States, which is stupid because if they're in Canada, we're right here. Plus, we're a real country.
It's not for everybody.
Oh,
so the song that is nominated is one of the ones that aren't in English.
Yeah.
And
I would suppose that's a way they were able to think about trying to get more votes for it.
Yeah.
Because Disney gets to choose what song is put forward for nomination, and they chose this one.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that's a way to. It's not even a top 3 song in the movie.
Yeah,
but
Gentle Giant just released a new Giant Kenner Maul. Oh, nice.
I saw it, and I thought about you, Rick. I was like, is this the one? And I was going to ask, but...
Eek. Yeah, Brandon, I opening up a store is something I always wanted to do. And then I spent 17 years in retail, and I don't like people anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't want them touching my stuff. I would be like Walmart, where everything would be in glass cases, and you would never be able to touch anything unless you were going to buy it.
Yeah, I'm working on it. Like that's my goal, is to open the store. I'm starting. I've got things in place now to start selling online. I have not been approved on whatnot yet, but that should happen within the next little bit, and then I'm going to build up from there. So
cool. Rick's prediction still might come true. Yeah, so with coming up to a great summer season of movies again, so there's going to be a lot to watch. I still don't know. I still haven't decided if I'm going to go see Doctor Strange in the theater or not. I probably will, because I get the feeling that it's the key to everything in the
next phase.
Yeah, the next phase. So,
absolutely.
I'm still upset that I really didn't get a chance to go see Spider-Man. I just didn't have time. It was Christmas, and then there are other things. And now I can just get it online, so I'll just watch it.
It was so much fun.
Yeah. Well, and I've seen the clips with Toby and Andrew and stuff. I'm like, man, this looks like it was probably fun. I bet you these guys had a good time shooting this, and was somewhat of a closure for both of them about how they were kind of screwed over.
Yeah. By studios.
Yeah, by studios. Who then, kind of had to, from what I hear, it wasn't actually Sony who went back to Toby and Andrew, that it was actually Kevin Feige who went back to them and said, you guys were, screwed over.
Because the fans wanted to see it. Yeah.
Yeah. And the fans want to see it. And so then, it was they kind of let Sony out of it just so they could get them in. I don't know how much of that's true. I'm sure we'll get a behind the scenes thing at some point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Boys season 3 is starting up too. I forgot about that.
I haven't seen all of season 2.
I haven't watched any of it yet. I'm not interested in superheroes that are assholes. The assholes in comics and stuff, they're the villains. Yeah, Deadpool's a jerk, but he's not an asshole. I don't want to watch all these they're also grim and depressing, and that's not what I want to watch a superhero movie for or a show. And oh, package going missing. I was like Spider-Man because he was a gateway into Marvel for me. I've never really been a fan of the X-Men. I don't particularly care about Wolverine at all. um, but oh, you're going to. It's not a movie. It's a series on HBO Max.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's been. I don't know if COVID derailed that, but there was already McFarlane was already moved forward on all that. I don't know what happened with that though, but it was at least a year or so ago. I don't know. I'm old. And
well,
I don't want to watch things to be depressed. If I want to watch things to be depressed, I'll watch, murder mysteries or psychological thrillers and stuff like that. I don't watch a comic book movie to be depressed.
I didn't like. I was worried that Invincible was going to be that way. That Invincible was going to just be so grim and stuff. But I watched that series all in one sitting. But I watched the first season of The Boys, and I just was like, I don't need to see any more of it. So
I own the first series. I've just never watched it. I'll find things and for super cheap to download and then just put them on my Plex, and they just sit there. And the animated series for Spawn was great. But yeah, I don't have any idea what happened with that. John says the Invincible comic is crazy later on too.
I have not. I've started getting some of them. I really enjoyed the show, but it's one of those comics that's kind of going crazy. Those Whatnot exclusives. Some of those are going for like $1,500 per comic book, and it's just,
jeez.
Yeah.
Well, I just don't get how some of these Star Wars comics, they print so many of them, how they can be worth so much. I mean, there are months my comic book store sends back some copies of Star Wars, especially the High Republic, because they don't sell.
Which is crazy because those are going to start getting hot with the Acolyte. Like one of the ones that I have graded, it's already quadrupled in price. Like, jeez. Yeah.
It would be nice if they could go outside and do some Dark Horse stuff, but a lot of those characters people don't know anymore. You'd have to do something newer. Yeah, like Witchblade or Fathom, stuff like that. There you go.
This is a cool series. Supermassive, the Radiant Black. I need to read more of these, but it's Image Comics, so it's the same publisher that does Walking Dead. But I'll look into this, and I am going to. This one's signed by the creator, but it's gonna get popular here too. So it's kind of Power Ranger like mixed with superhero.
I think we're gonna see in another burst because of how well the boys have done and how well Invincible has done and how well Marvel and DC are kind of doing. I think you're going to see a repeat of what we had in the 90s, where just companies just started buying every single comic property they could to start doing stuff. And that's how we got like Mantis, and that's how we got, all these weird, shows in the 90s, Max and all these cartoons and things, the Tick, stuff like that. I think you're going to see a lot of that picking up, but for series is on HBO Max or something like that. Gru the Wanderer. No one remembers Gru, Rick. That's like asking for a Blondie, a Dagwood and Blondie movie.
Sure.
Yeah, I like the Max. The Max was a good little series. But I think you're going to see a lot of that popping up, that they are going to pick up some of those comics because they think they're going to be cheap to get now. And if they could get them now, then even if they pick up a year or two later, like The Boys was popular, but it really didn't gain stride until after season 1. Then suddenly I heard everybody talking about The Boys and stuff, but I never really heard anything about, The Boys before as far as a comic. Cy likes the Power Rangers. A lot of people do. It's why it's been around since the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Valiant, if they were smart, they'd sell as a group. They'd get all their creators together and try and sell it as one big thing. That's how you can get rights sold, and some smaller stuff can get thrown in there that might get picked up, like Gru or Prince Valiant or Conan. It still amazes me that there isn't a Conan show on HBO Max or something, especially with as good as The Witcher has done. There's all kinds of shows like that, Red Sonja, things like that could easily be transferred over into a series that they just don't seem to grasp. I don't know. I think we're really just getting at the end of the COVID stuff, and people are really going to start ramping up what they're doing.
Yeah, I stopped with The Walking Dead after, I think it was shortly after shoot, I'm trying to remember. I was like
after the governor.
I was avid through when Negan kills Glenn.
Yeah.
And then
Smeg.
Oh.
Well, now there's a new Negan series coming. So is that a in-betweenquel, or is that a sequel to The Walking Dead?
Sequel.
So there's now going to be 4 Walking Dead series, and then they're going to get rid of the original and have the other 3 running. So, well, it'll be a sequel to The Walking Dead, but isn't there one that's set like 20 or so years in the future with the teenagers?
I don't know.
There's already a sequel series. I don't know. I don't.
I pretty much stopped paying attention to
it.
Like
I said, it's like the Game of Thrones. Nobody's really asking for that many series. Why don't you wait and see if one does well?
I am excited for the God, and I already forgot the name. Is it the House of the Dragon?
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. But again, it's like all prequels. I don't particularly care because I know how it ends. The journey is always interesting, but I know the ending already. Oh, good. It would be nice to get back to King Conan and stuff, but that last Conan movie with Aquaman just did horribly, and then Hercules with The Rock did bad. No. That sucks.
Yeah. I just stopped caring.
Yeah.
It was like the last couple seasons of Supernatural for me.
I stopped watching Supernatural at season 10. I still relatively know what's going on, but I missed the last 5 seasons. And again, I own them all, and I fully intend on finishing the show. Supernatural was one of my favorite shows of all time. And it was for a long time. And I went to Vegas for several conventions, went to the one here, met most of the cast, and I still have the opinion that show should have ended at season 5.
Yeah.
Right at the end, it would have been like one of the greatest endings of all time. And then I think they should have had a 5-year gap. Then started the show up again with what would have been season 6, 5 years after. like literal real time 5 year gap. Because just going on and on and on, I mean, once you've defeated Satan,
Yeah.
really, where do you go? You
Yeah.
know, the Leviathans were stupid, and
Yep.
Alpha stuff was dumb, and then you got God has a sister, and Crowley has a mom, and come on.
Yeah.
But I do intend on watching it. But like you said, I got to a point in season 10, and then I just kind of forgot it was on and didn't watch anymore. And then I fell 2 seasons behind. Then I fell 3 seasons behind, and then I was too far behind.
Yeah.
Like, I watched NCIS religiously. I mean, I would literally sit sometimes at home, and remember USA used to run like 8 episodes of
Marathons. Yeah.
back. I'd watch those at work. They'd just be running in the background. And then somewhere around season 11 or so, I lost track of it. And then, same with Criminal Minds. There are several shows that I watch religiously and then just stop for no reason whatsoever. And then now, I was like, they're rebooting Criminal Minds. And I was like, I didn't know it had been canceled. But apparently it was canceled like 3 years ago. And now
Well,
it's
it finished. It finished because what's his name? The guy who played Hodges, like
uh-huh.
went off and like physically assaulted people on set, and then yeah, they kind
Well,
of
then the
did
black
what they
dude
could.
left. He went and
Yeah,
he went to
Morgan.
SWAT.
Yeah. Yep.
And I liked SWAT. That was a good show too. That was a good remake.
Prentice
I
left.
think that might have been right around the time I stopped watching, is when those two guys left the show.
Yeah.
And then the girls just keep coming on and off the show. They just randomly would disappear. And then on NCIS, when Polly, I can't remember her character's name, all of a sudden left the show, and I wasn't interested again. And then, you had the guy who played his right hand man left the show for it to be on his own show, and it's like the show just didn't feel right anymore. But I don't know, it that happens a lot to me. Like there was a show, I'll get stuck watching documentaries and stuff all day long.
Right. I loved the early seasons of The Walking Dead, and then I really liked when they did the couple episodes in black and white, like the one that was on Halloween, and it was the first episode in black and white. I loved it.
She is. Well,
Yep.
who isn't in Canada? I think 20 or 30% of their population was in Supernatural. And Stargate, depending on what Stargate you're watching.
Was Rick one of the werewolves?
Cool. Yeah, she seems like a very nice person. I've got an autograph from her from something, but I don't, from Supernatural, but I don't remember where I got it from. One of the cons, I think. But yeah. Well, I got tired of The Walking Dead because they made the same mistakes over and over and over again. And when you got to the farm, I understood that wasn't going to last because it's a farm and they just walk on. Then they got to what was supposed to be a prison and there was barely a fence.
Yeah.
Okay, fix the fence. You should be able to take care of most anybody who comes at you, clean the place out, live there.
Well, and they did.
Well, for like a month.
And then Negan.
Yeah, and then the governor sent some.
Or the governor, yeah.
The governor sent a horde that way.
Yeah.
I'm like, meh, bored. Then they went and they're like, oh, here's some new people. We'll trust them. Oh, they're cannibals. Oh, here's some new people. We'll trust them. Oh, they're bad too. Oh, here's some new people. We'll trust them. He's got a tiger. Like, oh, bored.
Yeah.
I think you'd make a great big Russian fighter from, the Soviet era. That's just the beard. But yeah, I don't know. Both those shows, Game of Thrones and Walking Dead, they lost me because they were repetitive, and I don't like repetitive shows. That's why I stopped watching most CW stuff. The Green Arrow was great for the first 2 or 3 seasons ish, and then it became repetitive. And the Flash was really good for the first 2 seasons, and then it became repetitive. And then they all became repetitive together. Like, now you're making the same mistakes in this as you did in your own show. Have you not learned your lesson?
I haven't watched any of the CW DC stuff.
Every first and second-ish season of each of those shows is really good. Supergirl, the first season was good, then it went downhill pretty quick. And supposedly, Lois and Clark is really good, like constantly. Like they finally understand Superman a little bit, so that they're not using him wrong. The Legends of Tomorrow was good for its first season, then it started sliding downhill. But
it's fine.
You're probably okay with that. Yeah. I would probably watch the first season.
I'd watch the first 2, yeah.
Yeah, the first couple seasons are pretty good. But it's like there was a show where the world loses power. I can't remember what. Not Limitless. It was made by the same guy who did Supernatural, and all the world loses its magnetic ability or something, so they can't create electricity anymore. And so the whole world goes into this like cataclysmic dystopia thing. And I watched the first episode, and I'm like 15 minutes in, and I said, have we forgotten how to make steam engines? The world ran without electricity for a long time before the 1800s, and we started putting electricity in houses. What's wrong? I don't get that. And they were like, they went home and they had to hurry up and eat their ice cream, and they were eating it too fast. And their dad was like, calm down. You're never going to have this again. So you need to savor it. The Romans made ice cream. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I was going to say Cold Stones exist. And
yeah. Or shows like Jericho that are like post-nuclear and stuff. That show lost me in the first 10 minutes of the show when they showed a nuclear attack from Goodland, Kansas on Denver, Colorado. And you could see the mountains from Kansas, which you can't. For all of those driving down I-70, you will not see mountains in Colorado until you hit just outside Lyman, which is 90 miles away from Denver. Then you will see Pikes Peak and Mount Blue Sky. Now we've changed the name from Mount Evans to Mount Blue Sky. Then you'll see it. But I hate shows that don't understand the geography. They want to do stuff in Kansas or Nebraska or Wisconsin or whatever, and they have no clue the geography of what they're talking about. Cracked me up. Zombie break. Hey, I'd watch a zombie Sons of Anarchy. I know my mom would.
What if AMC? What if? And it's what if the Breaking Bad Walter caused the zombie outbreak?
I like that. I do like that. Well, you don't have to stand united for much longer. The show ends this season.
Yeah.
So, luckily, because then that means that Norman Reedus is free, or was free, to go start filming Boondock Saints 3, but apparently he got hurt last week on the set of The Walking Dead, and that might push that off a little bit, but I'm glad they're moving forward with that. I love the Boondock Saints. Great movie. The sequel was okay. I'm hoping this one goes much better. Yeah, me too. That's how I tell where everything is. When I go to Kansas, they're like, head west. And I'm like, you don't have any mountains. Which way's west? Does it?
Yeah.
Blue Myth is an Easter egg. That is cool. I did not know that.
Yeah.
They could have had what was the guy's name who had his face all burned off from Breaking Bad? They could have had him as the first zombie. Gus. Gus was the guy's name, and he like this whole side of his face was burned to the bone almost.
I've only watched probably 2 episodes of Breaking Bad.
The Breaking Bad lost me in season 1 when he kept complaining about getting insurance and stuff. I'm like, you're a teacher. The teachers union has insurance. Have you not been paying your premiums? Because they have insurance. Oh yeah. Part 3. They were doing a series, and it still may be going forward. There's going to be a prequel series about El Duce and kind of how his rise. It was going to take some cues from the comic that they did, and his rise in the 1940s and 50s, before the kids were even born. And then now they just moved to this. So I don't know if they're still going to do a series, but I hope they do. I'd watch it. Gustav, yeah, that's it. I think all my reaction figure says is burnt Gus.
A Mega Man show.
That'd be cool. The cartoon was funny. I would like to see like Metroid. I would love to see some real decent. I have no hope for Halo now at all, because the creators said they didn't watch the game, they don't know much about the game, and they didn't read anything about it. They just know kind of some of the lore. So people are going to rip that to shreds because it's going to contradict so much.
Yep.
I don't understand why you're given something that already has a huge plot and storylines,
and you know nothing about it.
Ripped, and you're just like, bleh. But it's made hundreds of billions of dollars. Meh. We know better. Jeez. I think I would enjoy Better Call Saul more than I would like Breaking Bad. Again, I don't like. It would be interesting to see Walter's movement from this really good teacher who cares about his family and stuff to an absolute monster drug lord. But again, I don't watch things to make me depressed, and I just find that too much in new TV. That's why I don't watch the new. And this will not be a rant. That's why I don't like new Star Trek, because they got rid of hope, and it's all about depression and our feelings and our, boo-hoo us. And it's like, that's what I was hoping Star Trek. Strange New Worlds was going to be a return to non-episodic Star Trek, to Planet of the Week type stuff, to being the Federation, to being hope, to helping the down people. And now they've destroyed that by adding Kirk. So now I won't watch that until I find out more information about how they're going to introduce Kirk, because Kirk never was on the Enterprise until he took it over from Pike, and he only ever met Pike once, and so he can't be on there. So I'll see. I'm still waiting, but that's not even going to be till season 2, and Stranger World season 1 hasn't even started yet. So that's why people are like, well, why don't you like it? Because it's dark. It's all dark. Even this new Picard season 2, which is supposedly really good, and I'm sure I'd like it if I watched it, is too much Mirror Universe, too much Borg, too much boo-hoo, I'm old. It's not what Star Trek is. Star Trek is hope. Star Wars is hope. If I want to watch something depressing, I'll watch, new Battlestar Galactica, which started this whole, sci-fi shows need to be dark and gritty and stuff. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Movies are very expensive, and it just bugs me. Well, yeah, that's because they got burned. I don't think they ever learned their lesson from Super Mario Brothers. I mean, they just do not, apart from the Mario Brothers Super Show and stuff like that on TV, they've never really moved back to movies again. Metroid, I think, would be a good one. Of course, why is there not a Zelda series? It boggles me that there's The Witcher and we don't have Zelda or Dungeons and Dragons or something like that. Oh, yeah. the best bit of that is when they're what is it, Austin Powers 2, when they're driving through the hills of California, and he looks at the camera and he's like, of course, these just like the hills outside of London. Well, I don't care if the people are new. That's not, I don't care about that. If you're going to do Halo, do it right. Take the story. I don't want a prequel. We've already done that in Halo 4 or something. Ouch. Yeah. Well, you're not wrong. But you get what I mean by Trek is about hope. Trek's not,
I did not see it.
I forgot it was out. Honestly, I forgot that movie even existed until you just brought it up again. I did not, although I wanted to see it because they said it was more like a haunted house type Marvel movie. And I thought that was an interesting concept.
Let's see it.
We do know. We know parts of his history then. We know what his first captaincy was. We know where he was because of some stuff he talks about in classic Trek. Now with Trek, you can't count any EU stuff. None of the books are canon. None of the comics are canon. The only thing in Star Trek that's canon is the stuff that's filmed. Because if you do that, then we know exactly where he's been in every minute of those because the early years books covered all those. So we do know what happened to him in all that time. But as far as film stuff, we don't. And like I said in a tweet, he was part of the Farragut and another ship before he was given captaincy. And if he's there, then that's fine. That's great. But in the picture they've shown of him, he has captain stripes already. And if he has captain stripes already, that means he's the captain of the ship, which gives a specific time when he was made captain. And the reason they keep screwing Star Trek up is they keep making prequels. And quit making prequels. Why can we not get a show set after Voyager? It's not that hard. Now Discovery is 1,000 years in the future. That's not necessarily what I want. I want something that takes place like you could do it 20 years after Voyager now and just kind of relaunch like they did Next Generation. But no, we keep making prequel after prequel after prequel and screwing up canon. Of course, none of this is really canon anyway because it falls under the CBS Paramount agreement when they were two separate companies that it had to be a certain amount different than normal Star Trek, which is why the Enterprise looks different and the uniforms look different. It had to be a certain percentage different. Yeah, he did. So I'm hoping that because the background doesn't look like the Enterprise, that this is actually his first command. Like they get into some sort of trouble. And I would like it to be comically that him and Pike just keep missing each other. That they're never quite in the same spot at the same time. And, I came down to see, Kirk off. And said, he just transported off, dude. Sorry. They never actually meet because we already know from the menagerie and that they didn't. So it's super cheese now. As somebody alive during the time that went and paid money to see that movie, no. Not love that movie. It's funny. And some of it is just like, what in the hell were they thinking? But yeah, you can't make those anymore. Dick and fart movies you just don't make them anymore. Stuff like, Superbad and, 40-Year-Old Virgin and stuff like that. You just don't get those kind of comedies anymore. People are afraid to make those kind of comedies because they're going to get yelled at and Twitter's going to yell at them. And, God knows we have to let 0.00006% of the population tell us what we can and can't watch. Well, they gave it to him as his second command. So there you go. Well, sort of. It's after. I want something after Voyager, not after Star Trek JJ verse. Um, you could go backwards. I mean, that's fine, but I mean, I don't know. It's there's just not enough. Picard is still all about whining and crying and darkness and people calling him. How dare he has such hubris for thinking that the Federation would help people. No shit, really. Why would we think the Federation would help people? Because since 1966 it has. You know, yeah, can you believe that? They got a lot of stuff out of that. No, there is no way they're making another Naked Gun movie. If so, that would be great. If they can do that, you can. No, no, it's not. And stop trying to say that it is. Uh, well, we don't have. That's not on Disney Plus here. That's on Hulu. In Canada, it might be on, but you know, in America, Pam and Tommy is not on Disney Plus and will never probably be on Disney Plus. They had a big enough time getting the Netflix shows for Marvel on because of the violence of them. So yeah, here that's on Hulu, which is where Disney sticks everything that's too risque. But
I need to watch all of the Netflix Marvel shows.
and see, that's another one where I didn't see. I just watched all of Daredevil and I watched Punisher season 1 and Luke Cage and the Karate Guy,
Iron Fist.
Iron Fist, and then what was Nancy Drew's name?
Jessica Jones.
Jessica Jones. I saw season 1 of Jessica Jones.
I uh yeah, I haven't watched any. I think I started the first 2 episodes of Jessica Jones and that was it.
David Tennant was really good in that.
I've heard that and I really like David Tennant, so I'm
Pretty much if you put David in something, I'll generally watch it. But because I really do like him as an actor. He's been in a couple of great series in England that I really enjoy. If this is at all true, I am really hoping that it is. Of course, OJ can't be in it. That would be awesome, but OJ can't be in it. That would be great. Iron Fist was horrible, and the team up thing, the Defenders, was bad.
Was real it? Damn.
So it'd be interesting to see if Disney just removes that because they're supposedly doing a new Daredevil series.
Mm-hmm.
So I know as Liam Neeson finally got to the point of his career that he's tired of being senior citizen action man, and he's going to be senior citizen funny guy.
I loved him in the Seth MacFarlane, the comedy.
Oh, The Million Ways to Die in the West.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
that was actually pretty funny.
Yeah,
the Seth MacFarlane thing, it was actually pretty good.
Yeah,
Seth has a real bad problem of going over the edge with too much and beating a joke to death.
Yeah,
and Mel Brooks used to do that, but he knew where the end was. He knew you could do this once, you could do this twice. And I think the only time he ever beat a dead horse was literally Frau Bluha. And then every time the horse would cry in the background. And I think that's the only time he ever beat that dead horse to a joke over and over and over again. Daredevil's supposed to be getting a reboot, same actor, same everything. So it'll be interesting to see if they bring Kingpin back for that, because Kingpin will be in the new Echo series as well. So I'm hoping they do, because honestly, he was my favorite part of Daredevil. Is that performance? He was excellent. From playing Thor to playing the Kingpin is an actor arc of craziness. Especially when you go back and watch that and you see how like Chris Helmsworth he was. Just huge muscles, just great shape. And then you go all the way to the Kingpin. And I know they padded him up for Hawkeye pretty good. But it's weird to go back and see that episode of The Incredible Hulk. And it's like, first of all, why is Thor wearing a baseball cap? That looks dumb. Yeah. Yeah. The Ted movies, I like the first Ted movie mostly because of the Flash Gordon stuff. I don't particularly like Wahlberg. He annoys me greatly. But yeah, Ted 2 had its moments. And he can do comedy. I'm just, he's one of those actors you just don't like. When Robert De Niro and them started doing comedies, and you were like, wow, he's really good at this, and this is completely different. Then he just kept making them, and he made Bad Grandpa, and it's like, geez, come on. No, don't
stop now. Stop.
I get it.
You're funny
here now. Just do something different. That's not that. Speaking of Shakespeare, the new Macbeth looks incredible with Denzel Washington. Wow, it's all shot in a 4:3 frame. It's black and white. Has a great cast, and it has Denzel Washington playing Macbeth. That's kind of an older. So they're all older. Usually Macbeth is played by a whole bunch of 30 somethings, but it really looks great. I think it's an HBO Max thing, but I can't. If it hits a theater, I may actually try and catch it. But seeing Denzel do Macbeth will be incredible.
It's Apple TV. Ugh.
Never mind. It'll come on Vudu at some point. I'll buy it then. Yeah, the Flockers. See, that's something where you take a concept and you beat it dead. The Hangover movies. What were the singing movies?
Pitch Perfect.
Pitch Perfect was something else that just got beat into the ground. I'm like, And I get that you're trying to hit when the iron's hot and stuff, but I mean, was I really supposed to believe that a cappella singing's that prevalent in the world? That they went on a world tour, and yeah. See, De Niro was great in Midnight Run. Midnight Run is an excellent movie. In fact, I think I'll make Ashley watch that. She'd like Midnight Run. Yeah, that is very true. I will watch classic TV shows over Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry, but yeah, I'm horrible at that. I really am, because I'll get in a mood and I'll just start watching Hogan's Heroes for no right reason whatsoever, and I'll watch like 10 episodes. That'll be what I watch that night. Yeah, I've got all the $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman. I've got all those series. I do randomly watch those because I try and avoid the episodes where Lee Majors grew the mustache because it's creepy. But the Bionic Woman's always good. I love watching those. I'm glad that movie fell apart. Yeah, him and Charles Grodin were great in that. They really were. That whole cast was great. But yeah, they were apparently doing a $6 Million Man where, today they would have called it the $6 billion man. No, this was actually that they only the government had a budget of $6 million. So basically, he didn't work right a lot of times, but they said the script turned out to be too much like an Inspector Gadget movie instead of a proper $6 million man. But toys. No, I don't have a lot of those. I got a lot of $6 million man stuff when I was a kid, and I broke a lot of it. I'm sure my Lee Majors is around here somewhere, but I had Oscar Goldman. I had all that stuff. I had the Bigfoot, all that stuff, the Fembots, all that stuff. I'm buying them now from Super 7, but my older stuff's gone, sadly. I don't know who that is. Bale Jumper and Midnight Run. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember that. I think he did a couple of TV things, but I don't think he did any more movies. Have you ever seen Midnight Run?
No.
It's about a bail. Charles Grodin plays a bailsman, and he's transporting Robert De Niro across country for a trial. And then they are being chased by some people who are trying to kill him because he's a witness, all that stuff. And it's very funny. And you might not know Charles Grodin very well, but he's a very dry comedic actor.
Okay.
And him and De Niro worked off each other really well. Think of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles if the mob was trying to kill Steve Martin. And it's kind of that.
Might have to check that out.
I'm surprised they haven't redone Logan's Run because the movie was kind of god awful. It's very 70s sci-fi, and it needed help. The series was even worse, but that was the before Star Wars ish. But so there's lots of stuff coming out, lots of stuff shortly to talk about, and we'll all be able to talk. We'll have Rick on to do his crazy theories about Moon Knight every week. I don't know if he's thinking about doing a nighttime thing like he did for Book of Boba Fett. I'm sure he'll have some crazy ideas
for Obi-Wan.
But and Obi-Wan, that will be nuts.
Yeah.
So Jonathan, I watched Logan Run about 2 weeks ago, and I was like, man, this is sadly partially in real life these days. And then the rest of it was like, man, look at that set design. They didn't have any money for that. Anyway, but so, well, Brandon, thanks for coming and hanging out with us for a while.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Everybody, make sure you go down, sub to his channel, yeah, he was great in the Great Muppet Caper. He's very funny. I think that got killed when they remade War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise, and he ruined it. But they could. I mean, they could take some of these old 50s movies and remake them pretty good. Somebody the other day said they wanted to see remakes of some noir stuff, like The Big Sleep, The Maltese Falcon, stuff like that, trying to be a little more closer to the books or something like that. And I don't think people would sit and watch them. I think they'd be bored. Because look at how many people are supposedly bored with the Batman, because there's too much detective stuff and there's too much wandering around, and you could have cut a half hour, 45 minutes out of this movie and it would have made it better. No, he's a detective. It's what he does. And so I don't think they'd watch, something like that. I mean, what I haven't seen any big drama movies drop to the theaters in quite a while. They're all action films, really, or some weird or horror. It's sci-fi, horror, and Marvel. is what seems to take up the theaters, and Oscar bait movies. But so that is true. We have a lot to look forward to later in this year. You can actually buy Soylent Green now. Somebody actually has a product called Soylent Green, which is hilarious. I think it clearly says on the package, not made of people.
Yeah.
But I did think that was funny. But yeah, thanks everybody for dropping in, saying, hey, we'll do this again next Friday. We're losing 3 more people at work, but I've kind of asked that I'm going to make sure I have at least Fridays off. I'm not going to go back to 7 days a week and several 12s a week. I just can't do that anymore. Having a couple days off and on for a couple months now has made me really enjoy being able to just take Thursdays and do my toy hunt, and take Fridays and talk to you guys, and then do laundry and stuff the rest of the day. It is nice. So anyway, thank you guys, and we'll catch you in the future. Till then, catch you on the flip side.
Thanks, everybody.